Does the celebration of Christmas in its current form stem from pre-Christian pagan festivals of the midwinter? Our journey will take us through the mists of time, from the ancient Roman Saturnalia to the Norse Yule, tracing the transformation of these midwinter festivals into the Christian Nativity. We will examine the adoption of December 25th, a date deeply entwined with pagan solstice celebrations as the birthday of Christ. This exploration will not only highlight the historical evolution of Christmas, but also shed light on how ancient traditions have seamlessly merged into the tapestry of this beloved Christian holiday. Join me as we unravel threads of history and mythology to understand the true origins of Christmas, a festival that is a unique blend of Christian and pagan elements. Before we dive in, I'd love to remind you to sign up for my newsletter. Don't rely on the capricious algorithm and social media platforms that could shut down whenever they decide. By signing up for my newsletter, you will always be up to date with my work and will get access to exclusive content, pictures, insights, and academic research. You will find the link in the bio, the cards, the description box, and a pinned comment. You will also find all the ways to support Angela's Symposium, as this project is brought to you by you. And thank you to the generous souls who make this knowledge available to all. Now, let the symposium begin. Hello Symposiast, I'm Dr. Angela Puca, Religious Studies PhD, and this is your online resource for the academic study of magic, esotericism, paganism, shamanism, and all things occult. This video is a special one because it's a collaboration with my dear friend Philip Holm, host of the channel Let's Talk Religion. Philip is a public educator with a background in religious studies and specializes in Islam, Sufism, and mysticism. His channel covers a wide variety of topics related to religion, history, and philosophy, so make sure to check it out. Link in the description and in a pinned comment. Now let's dive into the historical links between Christmas and pagan midwinter festivals. Modern biblical scholars generally do not regard the nativity narratives as reliable sources for understanding the historical Jesus. These stories are now widely seen as creative constructs by the authors, positioning Christ within traditional Jewish salvation history. The accounts contain contradictions, notably regarding Jesus' birth in Bethlehem, and include elements like the Roman census and the massacre of the innocents, which are historically dubious. However, these tales are meaningful on a mythological level, portraying the archetypal birth of a hero at the convergence of various realms, embodying both human and divine qualities, and being worshipped by societal outcasts. The New Testament does not specify the date of Christ's birth. Early Christian tradition did not preserve this information, and early writers speculated various dates, often in spring. The first definitive association of Christ's birth with 25th of December is found in the Philocalus calendar of 354, originating in Rome and later spreading to other regions. Though it took centuries to be acknowledged in Jerusalem and was never adopted by the Armenian Church. A Christian writer of the late 4th century, the scriptor Cyrus, candidly stated that the choice of 25th December was influenced by the pagan celebration of the sun's birthday, a festival in which Christians also participated. The Church, noticing the Christians' inclination towards this festival, decided to celebrate Christ's nativity on the same day. The pagan feast that Christmas replaced, decreed by Emperor Aurelian in 274 as part of a new state cult with the sun as its chief deity, was relatively recent. This cult was an expansion of an older Syrian sun cult and was an attempt to unify the Roman Empire through a universal worship focus. However, this state religion lasted only until 323, when Constantine shifted imperial support to Christianity. Interestingly, the Church did not align the Nativity with the main festival of Aurelian's state cult, which was celebrated in late summer or mid-October. It is unclear whether the Winter Solstice had a minor festival for Sol Invictus, or if the scriptor Cyrus was referring to a private pagan celebration. There is even a possibility that no pre-Christian celebration existed on that date. Nonetheless, positioning the Nativity at the winter solstice endowed it with significant symbolic power, but also led to ongoing concerns about the festival's identity, as noted by Augustine of Hippo and Pope Leo the Great. Conversely, Maximus of Turin celebrated the Christian appropriation of a pagan sun worship festival. The Romans were uncertain about the exact date of the winter solstice. Pliny in the 1st century believed it to be on the 26th December, while Columella, writing around the same period, thought it was the 23rd. Julius Caesar's official calendar marked it as the 25th. This uncertainty was understandable, as the sun appears to rise and set in the same place for several days around the solstice. Hence the term solstice, from the Latin meaning the sun stands still. The traditional Roman calendar had a quiet period around this time, with significant festivals like Saturnalia after the 17th of December and the New Year feast, Calende, from the 1st to the 3rd of January. Initially, the Roman year began in March, which is why the months from September to December are numerically named after their position from March. However, from 153 BCE, the Roman year officially started on the 1st of January. In Rome, Saturnalia was a popular and extravagant celebration. The religious rites were on the 17th of December, but the festivities, including public gambling and gift-giving, continued for up to 7 days. People exchanged presents, particularly candles symbolizing light, and social groups would elect a king to lead party games. The calende, dedicated to Janus, involved more feasting and distinctive gift exchanges, typically figs, honey, and pastry, but later coins. The Christian Nativity feast eventually overshadowed these Roman festivals, leading to a series of new Christian holidays. From the 2nd century, Eastern churches celebrated Christ's baptism on the 6th of January, known as Epiphany, which by the 4th century was observed in Gaul and later widely in the Western Christian world. This feast became associated with various events in Jesus' life, particularly the adoration of the Magi, which gained prominence over others, including the baptism. Around 400 CE, feasts were established immediately after the Nativity. The 26th of December for Stephen, the first Christian martyr, the 27th December for John the Evangelist, and the 28th of December for the Holy Innocents. In 567, the Council of Tours declared the 12 days between the Nativity and Epiphany as one festal cycle, with 3 fast days representing the old calende. By the 8th century, the Church had acknowledged the 1st of January as the feast of Christ's circumcision. The medieval system of 12 days of celebration, with peaks at 25th of December, 1st of January and 6th of January, became established. In Northern and Central Europe, where midwinter was harsher, this cycle became more significant than Easter. These celebrations likely intersected with local pre-Christian seasonal festivities in the British Isles. Prehistoric monuments in the British Isles, aligned with the sun's cardinal points, suggest a ritual importance of the winter solstice in certain times and places. However, the majority of these monuments do not demonstrate a consistent or enduring solar cult. Furthermore, there is a significant gap between these monuments and the pre-Christian British Iron Age, with no temples from that era showing significant solar alignments. Literary sources provide no definite information about midwinter rituals in ancient Britain. The Irish stories, particularly the Ulster cycle, which are reflective of a pagan past, do not mention any midwinter celebrations, focusing instead on the start of each season. These tales, including mythological ones like the Book of Invasions, show no clear evidence of sun worship or a solar deity. However, these were written at least 2 centuries after the decline of Irish paganism. This is in contrast with St. Patrick's writings from the 5th century, a time when paganism was prevalent in Ireland, where he criticizes sun worship. The Sanas Cormac, a glossary from around 900, indicates that solar symbols were inscribed on certain altars. By the 11th century, the Christian tradition of a 12-day midwinter festival was established in Ireland, as seen in the War of the Gaedhil with the Gaelil, which depicts High King Brian Boru celebrating from Christmas to Epiphany. In contrast, early Welsh literature is less informative about pagan beliefs and practices compared to Irish sources. Ancient Greek and Roman authors, while useful in other areas, do not discuss seasonal festivals in Northwest Europe. However, Pliny, a Roman writer, has inadvertently caused confusion by linking Druids, mistletoe, and midwinter. He noted that in Gaul, modern France, mistletoe was valued as a poison antidote and fertility enhancer, and was considered sacred by Druids, particularly when found on oak trees, which is quite rare. It was harvested on the 6th day of the moon, aligning with the start of their months and years. This, however, does not describe a seasonal ritual but a sporadic event based on a rare botanical occurrence and the lunar cycle, and is specifically associated with Gaul, not Britain. At first glance, the Anglo-Saxon records, particularly those of Bede, who wrote a history of the calendar around 730, appear more informative. Bede confidently claimed that the English's most significant annual festival used to be the Modernites, or Mother Night, on 24th of December, according to the Roman calendar. This night marked the beginning of their new year and was observed with religious practices that were not detailed. However, this information is not as straightforward as it seems. In 1889, Alexander Thiele critically examined Bede's account, highlighting Bede's own admission of his limited understanding of these practices. Thiele proposed that the festival Bede described might have been the Christian Nativity celebration, and the mother referred to could have been the Virgin Mary. This skepticism is supported by the absence of the term Modernite in other early English or continental sources. Instead, the Nativity feast was referred to as Midwinter, Midne Winter, or Midun Wintra in Anglo-Saxon literature until 1038, a term plain enough to seem archaic. Occasionally, it was called by its ecclesiastic name, Nativited. The first recorded use of Cristes Maessan, or Christmas, was in 1038. By 877, the tradition of a 12-day celebration following midwinter was well established, as evidenced by Alfred the Great's Law Code, which granted a work-free period to all servants during this time. In the 11th century, Danish governance in England led to the adoption of the Scandinavian colloquial term for Christmas, Yule, as an alternative name among the English. This term gained popularity in the following century and was first recorded in Scotland in the 13th century, where it became the standard term by the end of the Middle Ages. In Old Norse, it is Yule, in Swedish Yule, and in Danish Yule. The origin of the name has perplexed linguists. It might be connected to the Gothic Yule or Anglo-Saxon Yule, both meaning a wheel, or it could be related to the root word of the English jolly. However, its exact derivation remains uncertain. There is also ambiguity about whether Yule was initially linked to a pre-Christian midwinter festival. Early Scandinavian literature mentions an October pagan feast, the Winter Nights, marking the start of the season, but not Yule. Some medieval authors, like Snorri Sturluson in the 13th century, believed Yule was equally ancient. Snorri claimed that the custom was to offer sacrifices for an easy winter during winter nights, for a good harvest at Yule, and for success in warfare on Summer's Day in April. He also mentioned that Yule lasted 3 nights, starting with Midwinter Night and the New Year, and that Hakon the Good, a Christian king of Norway, aligned it with the Nativity feast. Another Icelandic writer from the same era depicted a warrior in pagan times delaying a duel until 3 days after Yule to respect the festival's sacred peace. However, this account might reflect Christian perspectives retroactively, applied to a vaguely understood past. The reliability of Snorri's sources and the accuracy of his interpretations are also uncertain. The consensus between Bede and Snorri, indicating that the winter solstice was a significant feast for ancient Scandinavian and Norse peoples, marking the start of their year, is notable. This aligns with numerous complaints from churchmen and councils about New Year rivalries from the 4th to the 11th centuries, with Sir Edmund Chambers listing 40 such instances in 1903. The Roman Saturnalia faded away relatively easily, perhaps due to its limited geographical spread. In contrast, European midwinter and New Year festivals, likened to the Roman calende by churchmen, proved much more enduring. Early medieval church fathers like Jerome, Ambrose, Augustine, and John Chrysostom, along with others like Maximum of Turin and Caesarius of Arius, vehemently opposed these festivals. By the 11th century, such denunciations had ceased in southern regions but continued in newly Christianized areas like Germany. In England, these festivals were still being denounced. Between 1005 and 1008, Archbishop Wulstan of York condemned New Year's Day sorcery amidst a resurgence of paganism due to Viking settlements. In the late 12th century, Bartholomew Iscanus, Bishop of Exeter, prescribed penance for those observing the New Year with pagan rites. Despite these condemnations, divinatory customs persisted, as evidenced by 14th century Merck's festival and the early 15th century tract Dives and Pauper. 19th and 20th century folklorists recorded numerous divinatory customs for New Year's Eve and Day. Early medieval Welsh literature also indicates that a significant annual midwinter festival, distinct from the Nativity and known as the New Year's Feast, was celebrated in Wales. This is evidence in a couple of works which I'm putting on screen, suggesting a long-established tradition by the 10th century. The complexity and difficulty in tracing the pagan origins of the British Christmas are evident. However, there is substantial evidence of a major pre-Christian festival marking the new year at the winter solstice. This tradition is reflected in the Anglo-Saxon, Viking, and Welsh elements of medieval British heritage. The English Crown's decision in 1155 to start the official year in March, aligning with the early Roman system, and the subsequent calendar reform in 1752, which moved the start of the year back to the 1st of January, highlights the enduring significance of New Year's Eve and Day. The continued observance of rituals on these days suggests a deep-rooted historical festival, with the charged atmosphere of the New Year's Eve likely mirroring one of the oldest celebrations in Europe. So, happy Midwinter Festival to all of you celebrating, however you celebrate it. This is it for today's video. Don't forget to check out the companion video to this one over at Let's Talk Religion. If you watched until this point, leave me a 3 or a star. Leave me an emoji in the comment sections. I always like to make our comment section lively and engaging. Now, my dear symposiasts, this project of delivering free academic knowledge based on peer-reviewed scholarship can only exist thanks to your support. So if you have the means and want to offer this knowledge to everybody, please consider supporting my work with a one-off PayPal donation by joining memberships, my inner symposium on Patreon or Ko-fi, super thanking me in the comments, or checking out my services at drangelapuca.com. You can book private lectures, tutoring sessions, commission a video, and much more. All links are in a pinned comment and in the info box. Also, don't forget to sign up for my newsletter to get to know me better through my personal reflections and ponderings over my academic work on all things esoteric. If you like this video, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, hit that notification bell so that you will always be notified when I upload a new video. Share this video with everybody and let me know in the comment what are your thoughts on this episode. Thank you all so much for being here and stay tuned for all the academic fun. Bye for now. Today we hold the ground, we'll